Cool beans. Welcome to the beginning of the week fundamental and technical analysis. It's your main man Hop, aka Mr. Levels, aka Pips, aka it's up there. You know we about to jump into it. Looking at the weekly chart on the dollar. Um, I would like to see this weekly candle expand lower. So that means that my bias for the dollar is bearish this week. And I got my eyes on this daily fair value gap that price is currently sitting on top of. And I want to see how price reacts to this daily fair value gap throughout the rest of Asian markets and going into London, right? So on the daily time frame, you can see the fair value gap here. We came down to it today, closed on top of it. Price just opened up for the Asian markets 6 o'clock. So I want to see how we react to this fair value gap throughout the rest of Asian markets tonight and going to London. If we slice through these levels and close below it aggressively on the 4 hour time frame, right? Then I'll be looking for us to come down, run these fairly even lows, right? Run these fairly equal lows right here, and go ahead and take out our yearly low, right? So that's what I'm looking at for this. I would like to see us slice through this daily fair value gap and make our way to start um, running these equal lows right here in our yearly low. Now, if we push up off of this daily fair value gap aggressively throughout the rest of Asian markets tonight and going into London, then I would be expecting us to pull back up into the weekly PD array, which is at 103.061, 103.289, right? So that's what I want to see out of Dixie for this week. Overall, overall bias is bearish, um, but I want to see how we react to the current daily fair value gap that we at throughout the rest of the Asian and going into London. So with that being said, let's go to our currencies. Currencies, I want to see us push up. Euro USD, I got my eye on this weekly buy side liquidity. I want to see us push up and run that. May not get all the way up there this week, but I do want to see us make an attempt to run that buy side liquidity. Look at this daily. Yeah, that's what I want to see. If we break back below, if we break back below the daily buy side liquidity, then I will expect us to come on down to retest um our weekly PD array for Euro USD. You see that weekly move? Yeah. So that's what I want to see for Euro. I want to see us run that buy side liquidity. Remember, my overall bias for dollar is bearish, and we know that our currency pairs is inversely correlated with the dollar. So, you know that they should be pushing in the opposite direction. Looking at GBP USD on the weekly time frame, I want to see us run that upper fair value gap level that we see at 1.29719. 1.29719, that upper weekly fair value gap. Looking good for the taking. Seeing my internet connection is unstable, y'all. So that's what I want to see for pound. If we close back below this lower fair value gap level, then I will expect us to come down and retest our weekly PD array, which is a discount array for pound. Let me look at the pound on the daily right quick. 1 second. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. All right. NZD USD, same thing. I would like to see this weekly candle expand higher. My attention is on these beautiful equal highs that we see right here. See how smooth that is? And then what do we see right above those equal highs? Um, a weekly fair value gap. So, um, yeah, that's beautiful. So I want to see, we already came down and retested that upper level of that weekly fair value gap. So let's see if that satisfies the let's see if that satisfies the algorithm, or if we need to come back down to that 79 before we go up. But I do want to see NZD USD reach up into this weekly fair value gap. Moving on to metals. For silver, I want to see us reach up. I've marked the consequent encroachment of um, June 12th weekly candle. That is consequent encroachment of that weekly candle. And I would like to see silver run that consequent encroachment to start the week out with. That is what I would like to see out of silver. Gold, same thing. We got these fairly equal highs right here. Weekly fair value gap sitting above it. There you go. Oh yeah, I marked it on the daily. Okay, daily fair value gap sitting above these equal highs right here. That's beautiful. I want to see us reach up for that liquidity this week. So I want to see what we do throughout the rest of Asia. It would be nice to see us dip down into this fair value gap, but we're on a daily time frame, so I don't expect to see us dip down there before London market opens up. Um, I don't think we have any high impacted news for gold. I mean for USD tomorrow, um, for the dollar. So yeah, I'm gonna be paying attention to gold to see how it plays out throughout Asia and going into London. But this is the overall agenda for this week. I want to see us push up, run these equal highs, and run into this weekly daily fair value gap. This is a weekly and daily fair value gap. So that's what I want to see. So yeah, oil still waiting to get above $75 so we can run into this weekly fair value gap, get above there to run up to 100. So we pushing, patiently waiting. Last but not least, crypto. Oh, hold on. I skipped over. E-mini. E-mini. Weekly time frame. I want to see us push up to the weekly premium array. That is what I want to see out of E-mini S&P 500. To start the week out with, I want to see us push up into um, the weekly premium. E-mini Dow, same thing. Want to see us push up into that weekly PD array. See us push up to that weekly PD array, premium array that is. That's what I would like to see. Yeah. And E-mini NQ, E-mini NASDAQ NQ. Um, I want to see the same thing. I want to see us push up to the premium array. But if futures are about to sell off, um, and seeing how aggressively bullish NQ was to the upside, if futures are about to go on a bearish run, we may not see NQ pull back up into that premium array. We may see NQ just start falling through the floor, running sell side liquidities and sell side inefficiency. So just be aware of that for NQ. But I do want to see us pull back up into the premium array before we go lower. And if futures, when we get to these PD arrays, of course, if we push through them aggressively, then of course we'll be expecting futures to continue higher, plain and simple. Okay, last but not least, Bitcoin. Bitcoin, our next level 32.5, and we're looking to hold 32.5. If we hold 32.5, our next level will be 40,000. Same thing with Ethereum. We want to push up above 2,000. If we hold this level, then we want to see Ethereum push to 22 and up to 25. Apecoin, dollar cost averaging in. I haven't seen 150 yet, so I'm holding for 150 to buy more. If we don't, just get ready for the rally to the upside. So that'll do it for the beginning of the week technical analysis. At this time, I will pass it over to Carmen so she can give us the beginning of the week fundamental analysis. It's all yours, Carmen.
Hey everybody. Um, tonight I am going to keep fundamentals fairly short. because um most of the stuff that I've wanted to talk about, I've talked about it a lot over the last 3 or 4 calls. In the year preceding an election year, you're always going to have stuff and a lot of stuff that just pops up that is and tends to be the catalyst for talking points for next year. So, um, you've had, and we kind of sort of talked about it when it first happened, abortion rights, then affirmative action, student loans, like these topics. It seems like they're here and then they're gone the next minute because of the news cycle in the United States. Or defense spending, those things haven't gone anywhere. Chips, that topic is still very much present. Um, and then inflation rates, where the dollar is going. All of these topics are things that, while they don't get talked about a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean like a lot at one time. While they don't get talked about a lot at one time, they do get talked about periodically, but also in the grand scheme of these topics mean anything to the media, mean anything to the news outlets and stuff, but they do. Um, Speaking of, I guess it wouldn't be a news outlet. I mean, it is a social media platform. Just to kind of hit on some trending topics, but topics that also mean something in the grand scheme of things. So, Threads. If you haven't heard about Threads, Threads is what Meta is calling Instagram's version of Twitter. Um, they've had over 100 million users. In order to sign up for Threads, you have to have an Instagram account. In order to deactivate Threads, you have to deactivate your Instagram account. And to me, it's funny because that's by design. Even though Instagram says they're going to work around it, they're going to figure out a way to make it so that it's not like that. Um, if you had the intention of people being able to deactivate their accounts, you would have done it when you created it and when you released it. Also, when you look at the collective, for those people who like to think out there, the collective of the group of apps that Threads fits into is called the Fediverse. It's kind of funny. They say it's a combination of federated and universe. But I'm like, you chose. Okay, whatever. I just think it's a weird smash up of words. I mean, I get what each individual word means. I get the context of it all. I just think that it's funny, especially when you start looking into it and you realize that it's supposed to be a very united, centralized area for social media, which I didn't see it as social media. I saw it as a centralized place for everybody's information to just be like housed and collected together. Um, that being said, chips are very important because now trying to be business owners, wanting to have their own brand, wanting to be seen, creating videos, putting information out onto the platform, just showing every last second of their life. This information is going somewhere. So, cloud companies, chip companies are definitely not to be excluded from the conversation. How your information is used and marketed back to you should not be excluded from the conversation. And then AI, because a lot of people are starting to use AI to create content and to help grow their brand and just help with their daily lives all around. It shouldn't, that aspect should, they are using AI to pretty much scrub the internet, scrub platforms for information. If you have a very centralized place for people to go to, or where information is just going, period, it's very easy for AI just to know where to go to learn and pick up human behavior and to just figure out people in general. So anyway, interesting topics. There's things that aren't going away. Um, as much as I feel like people say they're trying to detach from social, there's always going to be something else to try to reel people in. And the thing about you stop sharing. You look crazy when you don't share. Like y'all can look at my social media. I don't know the last time I have posted anything on Facebook. It's probably been like years. Um, don't even remember my password. My phone remembers my password if I ever have to log in. Like, I just don't care. Like, I don't care to know what anybody else is doing, but that's people. People like drama. People like to see havoc being wreaked. And somehow, somewhere in a person's heart, that makes them feel better about their life. That's why I feel like situations that are happening overseas don't happen the way that they should. Um, for instance, we always like to see the negative and what goes on in other places. Like Janet Yellen just had this really lovely conversation overseas in China, but it's like people wanted drama. People wanted something bad to happen. People wanted something negative to come out of the situation. And no, it's like no one wants peace anymore. It's like you can't go 2 seconds without wanting some calamity in life. Isn't going anywhere, whether it's domestic versus some international force or domestic versus domestic, because that's what tends to happen in the year before an election. Um, we tend to have all of these little issues that come up that tend to separate people. Um, Everybody has their opinion about abortion rights, and you can break it down to just flat out personal beliefs, religious beliefs. I'm a man, I'm a woman. I believe this. I grew up like this. I've had kids, and have kids. Like you see how divisive that can get. Affirmative action. Down so many different ways to where you have so many micro groups and you end up with all these microaggressions. Um, that's how policy can somewhat bring together people and it can tear a country apart. We have way too many issues going on now at a micro level to where I don't even know how, like in the very first quarter of next year, when things start really ramping up, how things are just really going to be. In America, you'll notice, like, if you go back and look through just news in general, how societies has functioned in general, when there's so many micro social issues going on, and then you throw on top of it an economic hardship, and then you throw on top of that a political cycle that's coming to an end as well. That really puts people up in arms. COVID really did a thing with people. It's been studied. There are studies out there from when there were quarantines done around the world before. So the research was already there. in psychology journals for what COVID could do when it came down to quarantines. Did it anyway. Now you see how people are acting. This is the end result of what has happened every other time. So now people are just living out the end product of what I have, in my opinion, is just this huge, large social experiment. How far can we push people to get people to forget, to cycle them back gas prices? The last time gas prices were this high, people were freaking out. People were like, oh my gosh, gas prices are high, gas prices this high. You got to do something. Writing to their congressmen, writing to everybody they knew of about gas prices. And now who's talking about gas prices? People don't care. People are out. People are free. People are able to get on a plane, a boat, in their car, on a train, and go wherever they want to go. Forget the cost. They just want to go. So guess what? And this isn't the end of gas prices. Even though I made mention on the last call, people say, oh, well, when I go to the gas station and fill up my car, I don't care about how much gas prices are per gallon. I just fill up my car. At some point in time, you are going to care, because if you have a 12-gallon tank, gas prices are $3 now, but when they get to 6, you're starting to think, man, my cost is doubling. Like, so at a certain point in time, people are going to care, but at what point in time are people going to care? You have to let people get to their breaking point. And people to their breaking point. Now, granted, you do have certain segments of the population in certain areas of the United States where people have sort of hit a breaking point and they're tired. But the majority of people have not hit their breaking point. How? Because when you look at money sitting in bank accounts, like available funds sitting in bank accounts, like the measure that the Fed uses to see like how you used your stimulus money. Yeah, that one. Money is still in accounts. Like, people still have money. The flow of money has not slowed down at all in the United States. So when people talk about the economy and they talk about jobs and they talk about rates and they talk about the stock market and all these things that right now are not lining up and making sense, if you go back and look in the markets, I'd say like, and this has typically happened like every like 52 years or so. It's a cycle. If you guys picked up the book on cycles, it's in there. Like, there is a long cycle that happens with rates in the United States. And when you start to look at the cycle, you start to see that people often forget that rates are going up. You hear it in the news all the time, but if you don't have a car loan, credit, student loan debt, a mortgage, you don't care. Or if any of your debts are strictly fixed and they have no, like, there's no way they can adjust in their rate, you don't care because you're already locked in. So you continue to spend freely because you bought at a good time in the market. Other people who are entering into that same market that you got in at a good time, they're going to be the ones to say, I don't really know. So you end up with all of this money piling into the marketplace, and people continue to spend as if markets and rates were still low, and they're not. Often people tend to have the lag. So when we talk about indicators, this is a reason why indicators are not always the best thing to have on your chart. The mental capacity of being, when it comes to rates, the lag at which the rate hikes start to where people feel it, it's like about 18 months. Like there's a huge lag. Like people will spend, 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 spend. They will keep money flowing in the marketplace. They'll sometimes liquidate some assets to continue some spending. They will pump money into the marketplace to increase investments. And then you get to a point where the Fed raised rates based on all of that spending, all the CPI, all the CPE, all of that. They will raise rates based on that. And it will get to the point where then the economy's lag with the rate increases catches up. And it takes about that long. So it takes about a quarter for you to really start to kind of see changes in interest rates. And if you do 6, it's like 18 months. Boom. You're like right there. And on average, the Fed does anywhere from like 5 to 8 at one time. So you end up with these huge lags in the economy, and then everybody's stuck. Businesses don't want to lend, businesses don't want to hire. You end up with this lovely drop in employment that we were supposed to see across the board from all the job numbers the last time, and we didn't. The flattening of wages, the flattening of benefits, all of those things, for then the Fed to say, okay, we're done, for people to say, ooh, I'm gonna stop spending, and for the economy to all slow down all at the same time. So anyway, I honestly feel like we're until next year at some point in time. And it's going to be very interesting because it's an election year. So that's going to get hyped up a lot. Um, the divisiveness around all the political issues, around social media platforms, around, which billionaire has the most money. That stuff is going to continue to be like, I think it's stupid how we're having this whole conversation about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Like, why? Why are we having all of these little micro conversations? But that's what it's going to be. Threads is not important. Twitter is not important. What you could even possibly get out of those platforms isn't even important. Because if those relationships were that important to you, you would have them on your phone via text or a phone call and not over some platform where your information is just being siphoned off. Pictures are being siphoned off. And I'm going to say this and I'm done. I don't care how many people think, yeah, I believe Snapchat and, whatever other platform you want to put out there. Once I delete it, it's gone. Or, okay, believe that if you want to. There are servers out there sitting with information on them with your nudes, the videos you sent that you weren't supposed to send, your sneaky link and everybody else. Guess what? It's sitting on the server because according to the feds, if you read the law, these social media platforms have to keep it. It sounds good for them to tell you, oh, it disappears. It disappears from your phone. Anywhere. It's still there. You just can't see it or have access to it anymore. So, anyway, I'm done. I'm so done. The world is funny. People are funny. And if people only knew that they actually have server farms, like actually like in Ohio, like a part of Indiana, part of Ohio, they cleared out a whole cornfield. Mind you, corn is huge in the United States. Cleared out a whole cornfield and built a server farm because it's going to make more money than the corn did. And guess what? That's just more space for data. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm done.
beans, cool beans. So saucy. Y'all already know how it go. Appreciate you, Carmen. Everything you bring to the team, to the table, we love you. Thank you. Alrighty. With that being said, I will stop the recordings and take